Mr. Jason Carter, thank you very much for popping over to see me.
Always a pleasure.
And never a chore. So, just want to let people know about you, first of all. Musician, terrible guitar player.
Awful.
Filmmaker, and we're going to get into this a bit later. I love what you do. You kind of fuse music with film, with people. When I say people, I mean the kind of social aspects of everything.
Yeah.
So we'll get into that a bit later, but I've cooked you a bit of sweet and sour chicken.
Smells delicious.
Bit of egg fried rice. I see you've already got it on your plate.
I have, I couldn't wait.
Really get... Right, let's get in.
Can we start?
Yeah, start eating,
Delicious.
And then, yeah.
So if I go to a Chinese restaurant, I mean outside of China, I'll always go to a sweet and sour because it's something that's always generally very good, in my experience.
Well, I'm just warning you.
I mean, China is I know you've been to China, but China is a place, it's kind of a weird place in many ways because as a musician and, touring musician, you get taken to restaurants and specialty restaurants where you get to eat the weirdest stuff you've ever seen in your life, Which in a way is kind of entertaining and you get great stories from that.
Yeah.
And I've enjoyed some of it, but some of it was really challenging,
That was my experience. My experience was challenging. That's the word I'd use. I was getting hungry. Because I was like, I can't eat that. I don't want,
Yeah.
And I didn't want to be rude because, like I say, when I was there, people again were saying, look, I mean, the one particular place I went to, which is very common there, it was a big table. There was like 9 people there. There was me and one other person that wasn't from China. And they've got a big, like a hot pot, like basically a boiling water. And then you order stuff. And they were like, do you like mushrooms? And I'm like, yeah, I like mushrooms. And then they were bringing mushrooms. I'm like, I don't think I like those mushrooms. And it's like, do you like chicken? It's like, I love chicken. And it's like, I don't really like chicken beak, or head. It was just like everything was going in, and the mushrooms really freaked me out because I'm like, I don't like the look. And there's loads of different types. And it wasn't like anything that I'd seen. It was like, hang on, where'd you get them from? And then it was like, then liver and stuff was going in. And it was... Yeah, I mean, I remember that particular place, and it was just like, man, I'm not really sure if I'm going to eat all this.
I think it's the parts of the animal that they eat. I ordered a chicken soup once in China, thinking, something that I can, really eat and fill my hunger need, And they bought this big bowl of chicken soup, and they sort of thrust it on the table, and of course the liquid's moving as they put it down. And there's all these little feet, look like babies' hands, sort of like waving to me in the soup. Kind of puts you off. Challenging.
Well, I mean, they don't waste anything, which is probably a good thing.
Yeah.
I mean, we're bloody brilliant at wasting crap, aren't we?
True.
But, yeah, I found it a little bit challenging, I have to say. Right, let's get back to the beginning. So, from the UK, born in Portsmouth, for people that don't know where Portsmouth is, that's south coast of London pretty much, isn't it? Just south.
Straight down.
You lived there for a little while and you went off to Cornwall?
Yeah.
Lived there. But more interestingly, which I want to talk to you about, is you were adopted.
I was. Yeah.
At 2 years old or something?
20 months. Yeah.
20 months. And you got adopted, lovely family.
Yeah.
And you stayed with them forever.
Yeah, that's right.
Just your mum and dad.
Yeah.
Now, the question, I've spoken to people about this before, like, when did you find out you were adopted? And did it freak you out? Did you have suspicions that you were adopted? Did you meet your birth parents, blah, 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 the whole sort of thing?
Well, you hear these stories of people who are not told they're adopted until they're like 20 or even later.
Right.
And that must be a really strange thing in terms of your identity, because as you grow up, you're forming your reality of who you are, where you've come from. And I was told I was adopted when I was about 4.5, when we went to adopt my brother, who was not my blood brother, but a brother we sort of brought into the family.
Okay.
And so it was a very basic conversation. And when you're 4.5, your vocabulary and understanding of life is very limited. And so it was a very simple conversation about, well, where do I come from? You were adopted too. Oh, was I? Why? And so there were medical reasons of that and for that. And I sort of just accepted it. I never remember having any problem with that at all. Now, my brother, on the other hand, had other issues with it, and that was a different story. But I just sort of glided through life in that respect, always knowing. But, of course, as you grow up and as you get older, you become more curious about where you've come from. Because ultimately, I am different than my parents. I look different. I have a very different character, different passions. And none of the stuff that I was interested in came from my parents.
Right.
Although, being an adopted person, you do absorb the character traits of your family. So I can see my adopted mother in me in terms of her nature. I see my father in me in terms of his practical mind. So I have got four parents. So I see the musical and the photography thing from my birth father. I see the kind of slightly craziness and the colour of my birth mother. I see the kind nature of my adopted mother, because she was very graceful and a very peaceful person. And I also have that. Mm-hmm. And then the sort of practical, analytical side of my father. So in a way, I've got the 4 character traits that I can see clearly, in myself.
That's a beautiful way of looking at it, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Because like the stories I've heard, it's really like messed people up.
It can.
People that I know it's happened to, but that's beautiful.
It can. I mean, I think it depends how you're told, when you're told, and I went on that journey of finding my birth parents. Or at least it was I wasn't sort of passionate about finding them, but I was curious, and so. To cut a long story short, I made contact with them both. Well, my birth mother through a family friend who helped, and my birth father turned up at a concert one day, which was bizarre because you wake up that morning and you have no concept in your mind that you're going to meet your birth father that day, and then after the concert, go back home to the same place, and suddenly you've met him, and wow, I didn't expect that, because normally you sort of psych yourself up for it and a lot of questions, but suddenly it just happened, and that's probably a good thing.
And did you know your dad? Did he look like you or something? Or?
Oh, crazy. I mean, both my birth parents, if you showed a family photograph of me and them, you could see clearly where I come from. It's so strong. And I've met 3 of my half-brothers from the mother's side. And from what I can see, none of them have obvious traits of her. Yet I have extremely strong traits of her. In terms of hair colouring, complexion, her choice of colours. She was quite wild in terms of how she dresses, and I, when I was growing up, I wanted to wear orange flares and purple shirts and colour.
We all did that, didn't we?
Well, yeah, most of us did in the 60s and 70s, yeah.
And are you still in contact with your birth parents? Do you know them still? Or?
And in contact is probably the most appropriate way to describe it. I mean, me and my birth mother have exchange emails every few weeks or months, nothing on a regular basis. And my birth father, we also exchange emails on a similar kind of time frame. And now, with the birth mother, it's sort of calmed down. In the beginning, she was very intense and wanted to talk every day and was calling me. And because for her, it was like discovering her son again. For me, it was like, who's this strange woman that looks like me who wants this very close relationship, but I don't even know her. And so, but now it's kind of leveled out. And after 13 years of now contact, and now it's sort of, quite okay.
So it's a happy story, really.
It is. I mean, it
wasn't drama. You ended up being adopted by a lovely family, by the sounds of it.
Yeah.
You met your birth lot.
Yeah.
Happy days.
It is. When you're in that position of finding out where you come from in terms of adoption or even fostering, it's a can of worms. It's like a Pandora's box. You have no idea what's in that box. And I think, in a way, I didn't need to know who they were. I mean, I could have lived the rest of my life not knowing. But knowing, it's almost like, when you get in the car and you put your seatbelt on and you're secure. Something about, in my gut, in your deepest level of yourself, something in there kind of changed. I remember feeling it physically. After meeting my birth father, because it was unexpected that day, I got back in the evening to my friend's place and I lay down in my bed and suddenly it was almost like, that's where I come from. And it was like a very quiet but very strong sensation. I know. And it was simple as that. It wasn't like an emotional experience for me because I had a very loving family, so I wasn't missing any kind of care and attention. I was never neglected. And so for me, it didn't feel like an emotional need, more of a sort of a psychological curiosity perspective. Yeah.
That's amazing because, like I say, everyone that I've ever spoke to about this, there's been quite a lot of drama in it. Maybe not from the adopted person, but maybe from the mother or something, or even your real mum. When I say your real mum, I mean the mum that adopted you. It's kind of like, okay, this woman's come in the space and stuff like that. So, but happy days, mate.
Well, that was also another thing. I think that was actually probably more, not challenging, because my adopted parents were they always said to me, my mum said to me as we were growing up, if you ever want to find your parents, or she said it in my 20s, we're not stopping you, we understand. When I did find them, I called them straight away. I was living in Finland, and I'll never forget, Mum answered the phone. I said, hi Mum, how are you doing, blah, blah, blah. And by the way, I've made contact with my birth mother. Now, she was the one that always said, you should do it, we'll support you. But of course, it is a shock, because there is an element of fear, oh my gosh, what does that mean?
Yes, yeah.
But it meant nothing. And of course, and they know me well enough. But of course, that initial shock, my mum went quiet on the phone. She went, oh. And then she was okay. My dad got on the phone. I said, hi, Dad, blah, blah, blah. I told him. Yeah. I won't tell you what he said on camera, but he was not very polite about it. And I think for him, it was a knee-jerk reaction. He kind of said something derogatory about her.
Okay.
But I think it was more of a knee-jerk thing. My dad was always the less emotional one, but I think it hit him harder or differently. But then it was fine. There was no issue.
And has it affected you in a positive or negative way, just in later life?
I think my story is particular because I was abandoned from the day I was born. You know, and every human being needs care and attention and needs to be protected and guided, as you like.
Yeah.
So from day one, I was on my own. And that has played to my advantage because I feel secure and I can breeze in and out of situations. I'm not faced by any kind of person. I can talk to anybody, sit with anybody. But the negative side of that is because when you are abandoned by your birth mother, you become inherently more defensive with women. And so it took me 50 years to get married. You know.
Right.
And so there was always and I didn't realise it. I mean, it was as I got older, it became...
Isn't that more to do with that you're ugly and boring?
Partly, I think it's 50-50.
50-50.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't blame that all on your...
Yeah, well, I liked it because, it helps me. Yeah,
it helps you kind of... I know.
Yeah.
Right, let's move on. Let's move on.
I love this food.
Is it good?
Gorgeous, yeah.
Thanks, mate. Right, so... One of the reasons you're here is because of your guitar playing, which I find wonderful.
Thank you.
And you've got lots of... Well, you've got to deal with CBS or something in the 80s or 90s or something, and then, you've sort of played around. And you played with Nigel Kennedy.
I did.
Now, I'm bringing him up because I love him, because he was the first kind of Mohican punk rocker classical musician, wasn't he? And he sort of really broke a lot of boundaries for people, didn't he?
We did. I mean, Nigel had got a really, in a way, a broken background because he was kind of followed by the BBC from the age of 7 or 8. So he went to the Union Benjamin School.
Right.
And the BBC basically followed his life for all those years, and he had hardly any childhood or any private life. So by the time he was... Now, when Nigel Kennedy became commercially known through the Four Seasons, but also through his image.
Yeah.
And it just coincided with the fact that he became just a rebel, because he says in his book, it's called Always Playing, it's a really interesting book, and he says, I didn't have any playtime as a kid. I had no friends. I was literally isolated. Music was my life, which was great. But I had no normal childhood. And suddenly it came out of him when he was like in his 30s. So all the stories of him chucking TVs out of windows, and a lot of them aren't true, but some of them are,
Yeah.
And I met him at that time as he was calming down from that sort of, complete rebel phase. But what I liked about him is that he transformed the whole image of classical music, because until then there were a few other people who were a bit different. But Nigel not only was a great musician and a down-to-earth person, but he turned up one day at the Albert Hall. It was actually Halloween, to play the Four Seasons, and turned up in a Dracula costume to play it, unannounced.
Right, okay.
And I love the way he just challenged everyone's perspectives. And he was partly trying to be a naughty boy, which he was, but also just trying to throw out the window all that preconception about, that sort of myth of classical musicians and what they should look like or sound like or do,
Well, he's done the trick, because, he was like I say, I was never brought up on any classical music, and he's the person that, like I suppose millions of other people, just made them go, oh, okay.
Yeah. He made it accessible.
It's actually okay for me to say Four Seasons. Do you know what I mean? And not meaning the Chinese restaurant down the road. Do you know what I mean? Or Vivaldi, and kind of... Because, where I grew up, it's like classical music was just like, no.
Yeah.
Just like... Yeah, we didn't do cricket. We didn't do rugby, and we didn't do classical music. Do you know what I mean? It was so. It was. And he's the bloke that really sort of brought that out to me.
It is.
I still know nothing about classical music, really. Yeah. I mean, I know a lot more than I did then, but yeah, he's a great player as well.
Amazing.
A great player.
Yeah, and particularly, I mean, he was known for his interpretations of Elgar. I mean, an English composer. And Nigel spent months and months sitting in the same house as that Elgar grew up in, composing these pieces. And I've heard him play with one violin concerto. His interpretation of classical music is... I'm not an expert at all. I didn't study classical music at all. But when you sit and listen to someone like him playing that, you can hear all the English stuff which is in that music. Amazing. And the way that he's opened the door so classical music for people like me, you and me, basically.
Yeah,
You know?
and you've done the trick. Now, so you played with him, done a couple of albums with major labels, been on tour loads, and I hear this from lots of musicians. You know, you've travelled the world a lot, and you know 4, 5-star hotels very well, but not places, do you? Because you're in and out all the time. So go to 100 countries, and know pretty much nothing about the country. But you then, I want to talk to you about 2 countries in particular that you've been to. One is North Korea. Now, what's going to be interesting for me and anyone watching this, I suppose, is we don't know anything about North Korea, do we? We're not allowed to know about it.
I know.
Apart from there's lots of tanks, everyone's starving, and he's a lunatic. That's kind of what we know, isn't it?
It is.
Why did you go? Like, and what happened? What made you go there?
Okay, so I was in Singapore one night, and I had a private guitar student that I was flying in and out to teach, a very rich family. Put me in this 5-star hotel. And I was half asleep on my sofa in the hotel. And the BBC News came on, and I was like, half awake, half asleep. And there was an announcement on TV. The guy had his little earphone thing. I'm just getting breaking news from North Korea that North Korea has launched its test nuclear missile. And that was October 2006. I woke up thinking, wow, that's kind of scary. And for some reason, I just got on my laptop and started Googling. I'd never really thought about North Korea before.
So 2006, this is not the Kim now, this is his dad?
Kim Jong-il, yeah.
Right, okay.
So I Googled North Korea, music, customs, the rare visitor that had been there, their blogs and stuff. And I thought to myself, whilst I was in this phase of trying to bring music to closed places, if you like. So I sent an email at midnight to the British ambassador in Pyongyang. There's a British embassy there. Hello, my name's Jason, I'm a musician, I work with the British Council, blah, blah, blah. What are the chances of doing some kind of collaboration with North Koreans? Music is a powerful thing, and I'm really curious, and I'd love to come. It's very simple, best wishes from Jason. And you write those emails a lot, right? I mean, at that time, your return rate would be like 10%.
Yeah.
And so...
Well, you speak for yourself.
But generally, when you're marketing stuff, it can be 10%. And within 24 hours, I had a reply from this guy, and he said, "Dear Jason, thanks for your interesting email. You're the first person that's asked to come to North Korea.
Ever.
If you're really set on coming, we can't do anything because we can't be seen to be working with the regime or with the government. However, I see your point, and so what I'm going to do, if you're interested, is I can forward you, put you in contact with the government themselves, and they have festivals and stuff." So I sent my stuff to the Foreign Office in London. It went to North Korea eventually, and that was in October 2006, and nothing came back. I thought, that's fine, I forgot about it. Christmas or Boxing Day it was. I was in Spain with my parents on holiday. My phone rang, unknown number. I thought it was a friend calling from Dubai or Singapore. Hello? And this very strange voice on the phone said, "Oh, hello, Mr. Carter." I said, "Hello?" And he said, "I'm calling from North Korean embassy in London. We understand you want to come to North Korea to play a concert with your guitar."
That's a terrible accent, by the way.
I know. But it kind of,
We got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
I said, "Yeah, sure. How does one go about doing that?" And these were his words. He said, "First, you have to come to the embassy so we can deepen the intimacy with you."
Deepen the embassy?
Deepen the intimacy.
I wouldn't have gone. At that point, I wouldn't have gone.
Are you sure?
Deepen the...
Intimacy.
That just sounds sexual to me.
I went,
You're just desperate. Go on. Okay.
So we made this date for our intimacy deepening experience, and I found myself at the gates of the North Korean embassy in London about 6 weeks later.
Which is a house, isn't it? It's like a semi-detached house in Hounslow or something, isn't it?
Ealing Common, yeah. So, security cameras, a bit grey and kind of unkept house, I go in, and of course they see me coming in, and I'm about to knock on the door, and the door opens, and there's this little, they're all little, guy, Carter, welcome. So I go in, and so you're stepping into North Korean territory. So when you go to an embassy, you're in their country. Bit damp and musty, and very badly taken photographs of missiles and axis of evil leaders. Gaddafi was there, and Yasser Arafat and a few others, friends of North Korea.
Okay.
And I found myself sitting in this little tea room with propaganda on the table, magazines, all red, I think bright red colours. And I was told to wait there, I had a little chat with this guy, and then the ambassador came in, a very kind of astute-looking, kind of reserved character, small glasses like this. And he had my CV, because I had to send my CV and any information I had, because they need to check up on you. Done no research, so he's looking through my CV, and he put his glasses down, he looked at me and he said, "Mr. Carter, I can see that you like to visit axis of evil countries. And because I was trying to make a joke, because there was Afghanistan was there, or other countries.
Okay, yeah.
And I said, well, yeah. And he said, welcome to North Korea. And he was very funny.
Right, okay.
And I think his sense of humour is very powerful. And these guys were really funny. I mean, I found myself laughing every 5 minutes. And it kind of, like everyone else, I didn't know what to expect meeting North Koreans, what they like. Because none of us had met them, really. And these people were hilarious, laughing at themselves. And I asked a lot of questions, can I walk the streets freely? Because you see all these reports that, you can't. I said, yes. Can I play with North Korean musicians? They said, yes. Everything was yes. We had many meetings. And finally got my visa after months of waiting, and a week before the festival, and I went. But
Tell me about it.
well, the first thing is you've got to travel with Air Koryo, which is North Korean Airlines, and they have 2 planes only. One is for spares and one's for flying, so you're hoping that you're on the one that's for flying and you get on the plane.
Yep, that's a good idea.
And because it's not a regular flight, it's a private plane. So I had these instructions from the North Korean embassy. Fly to Beijing and arrive before midday on this day. And then after midday, you will hear announcement of your flight to North Korea because there won't be any, it won't be on the board.
Right.
So I took a flight from Helsinki via Frankfurt, Munich to Beijing, and then waited. And sure enough, after midday, there was this announcement: all artists coming to Pyongyang Music Festival, please come to meeting point number 3 or 4, whatever it was. So I go there. And there's 3 or 4 North Korean men, all with these Basin haircuts, little badges of Kim Jong-il, badly cut suits, taking people's luggage and giving us boarding cards, with our names on, of course.
Yeah.
And there was myself, there was a Bollywood dance troupe, a Mongolian military orchestra, and me, basically. Oh, Russian Cossack dancers.
Okay.
And me. And
What a gig.
What a gig, right? The thing is, they gave me a one-way ticket, like a boarding card, no return ticket.
Yeah.
And I said, "Where's my return ticket?" "Oh, you get it when you arrive."
Maybe, if you play well.
Exactly. And I programmed the British Embassy phone number in my phone. They told me to, just in case, right? And I thought, do I want to go to North Korea on a one-way ticket? It was kind of a weird sensation. So I forced myself to go through passport control, got to the passport window. The guy said, "Where are you going?" "Beijing." I said, "I'm going to North Korea." And he said, "Good luck," and let me through.
Okay.
So now I'm going, basically.
You're on the way. Nothing to do now. You can't do anything.
Well, I did try to call the British Embassy. There's no answer. I thought, oh, it's probably just a bad line, or, got on the plane. It was fine. Plane's a bit rusty and, old, from the 50s or 60s, I imagine. And it was a seamless flight. I mean, 2.5 hours later, I'm landing in Pyongyang, and I remember looking out the window, seeing North Koreans pulling plows, like rugby players, like in long lines, really very skinny, pulling these plows through fields, and very grey and dismal, which is what it is. And we landed. I had no information where I was staying. I didn't know what was happening, as in they never gave you any information about anything. And so I got off the plane, and there's all these guys with these old reel-to-reel video cameras, awesome big things on their shoulders,
All right.
Yeah, so retro. I love that. And this little woman of 4'11" or 5 foot, "Mr. Carter, welcome to North Korea." And suddenly I was there, and I was in. And it was bizarre because it looked. I mean, I've been to Russia and Estonia and the ex-Soviet countries before, and there was a taste of that, but worse. So it was another notch. Broken windows, no heating, and you could see that it was dire, pretty bad. Apart from the government buildings,
Which are fantastic.
which some of them are fantastic. Yeah.
Right. And how was the hotels and all that? I mean, you're obviously allocated a hotel. I can't
Yeah.
imagine there are many hotels, are there? 'Cause
3
Oh, right, okay.
that I know of.
Right.
So it became apparent that most of the guests that were part of this festival were staying in one hotel on an island in Pyongyang. So there's a river, and there's a hotel which is made for foreigners. And I was hoping to go to that one to be with everyone else because it'd be fun.
Yeah.
And I was put in a hotel on my own with North Korean soldiers, which I inquired about. And also, it's the only country I've ever been to. When you get to reception, the British ambassador's left you a note written by hand and given you his mobile number.
Saying good luck.
Saying, "Call me night and day if you need any help." And so I asked him about why I was stuck on my own, and he basically said, "I imagine it's because a bunch of Brits came here recently and with their video cameras and made a film which ITN broadcast, and it was just shaming North Korea. So they want to keep an eye on you." And they did. I was on my own, watched night and day, which is, in the beginning, fun.
I thought you were going to say the Brits turned up and got really pissed, had a curry and smashed the place up.
Probably that as well.
Probably done that as well, didn't they? So.
Yeah.
And so the gig went well?
Amazing. 5 gigs. So Opera House, what do you call it? A gala concert. So everyone had a sort of time slot. And I was backstage first night, and I was with my guide and translator who were with me night and day, which is kind of stressful, but translator was really friendly and English was amazing. The guide was very military and very serious. So I'm waiting backstage, Carmen was, waiting to go on stage, love that moment. He came to me and said, "Carter." I said, "What?" When curtain open, they call your name, you go to stage, sit down, play. No talking audience, not allowed. No talking.
Okay, so you couldn't sort of go, "Hi, how you doing?"
No.
Just straight in?
No.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm waiting backstage, and the way the North Koreans, you've seen the TV presenters, right? They're like, they're very sort of passionate.
Yep.
Same kind of thing with my intro. I have no idea what they're saying about me. And I heard this suddenly, Jason, Carter. And the curtain opened, and I walked out on stage. And the sea of North Koreans. It's a really wonderfully bizarre moment. So I'm wearing, my orange flares and a flowery shirt. My hair is down, past my shoulders. Sat down. And they're looking at me like, what planet is he from? And I'm looking at them and thinking, what planet are they from? And it was this magical moment of like, who are you? And like, who are you? So I just waved. I couldn't say anything. So I did that. And the whole place waved and smiling. Very friendly. And I started playing. And so, not even the British ambassador would have the opportunities to address a public of North Koreans. And to get to that point was very stressful because when I arrived, I had to do a censorship test with the government. And I've done it before in Brunei, and so I'm straightforward. I'm not wearing a short dress. I'm not saying anything, so my music's harmless. So I played the set, and these guys in uniforms said, "Oh, Mr. Carter, we're very sorry. Your music is not suitable for North Korean people." And I was like, I was almost full of my chair laughing. I mean, what are you talking about? I said, "Why?" And they said, "Your music too melancholic. North Korean people do not understand this music. You need to play something more lively." And I just played a flamenco piece, which you can't get much more lively than that, right? But it's very dark, it's very kind of reflective. And I didn't know what to say. I had a one-way ticket. I couldn't just go home. You go to a festival, normally you can just get on a plane and leave if you don't like it or if something happens. I don't even know where my ticket is to get out of there. I have no idea when I'm leaving. So they said, "Can you play British military songs?" And I started laughing. I mean, just looking at me, I was wearing the flares and all that, and they're like, and I said, "No." I got angry. I said, "It's very clear that you've invited me under false pretenses. I have made the effort to come here, not being paid, by the way. And I'm coming here on my own time, on my own free will, to play very harmless music, and you're now saying I can't do it." I said, "What kind of people are you?" I was really angry. And there's a big banner on the balcony, and it said, "Pyongyang welcomes our international visitors to this festival, bringing the world together through music." I said, "Look at that banner. Take it down if you don't agree with it." So they're kind of all a bit, sort of flustered.
Sound like you're getting a bit fucking ballsy, mate.
Come on. Just to get there, the process of getting there was so tedious, right?
Yeah, but considering they might kill you, you're staying in a hotel full of military, you don't have a ticket out. I'd have shut up and played military songs if I was you.
Well, so I don't know what to do. I mean, I don't know British military songs, and I didn't really want to learn them. So I put my guitar away, and I was sitting there thinking, "Get me out of here now." And then this lady stood up in uniform, and she said, "Mr. Carter, your music very nice. You can play this piece. It's okay." I said, "Okay, thank you." Well, to get around that, what they did is that I had to give them a set list of the names of the pieces, right? And they basically changed all the names of my pieces to sound communistic, so that it gave me permission to play the pieces. And so, after the first concert, I go backstage, and there's these journalists there with these little reel-to-reel tape recorders, really cute, all in military outfits, all women, very excited. And they're, welcome to North Korea. It's the first time I actually felt there was a joy in, it was so serious. I thought, "Oh, that's great, thank you, pleasure, I really enjoyed that, people were great, loved it." They said, "We have questions about your music." I said, "Sure." And they started throwing off the names of my pieces. And the first name they gave, I think they called it something weird. I said, "That's not my music, I don't know where you got that from." And they said, "The second piece is called Kim Jong-il riding on a big white horse." And I just burst out laughing because it became...
I know that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that. It's a beauty.
So I changed the name of my piece to that because it's so funny. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
How's the food?
Amazing. I'm talking too much.
Yeah, eat.
Sorry, mate.
Eat something. Don't call me mate, call me sir.
I'm sorry, sir.
Your Royal Holiness.
Yeah.
Or Your Highness.
Okay, sir.
Lesser than mate, all right?
All right, sir.
Yeah.
So, You love cooking, right?
I do.
Why? What is it about food that motivates you to do what you do with food?
I think, are you throwing it at me now so you can eat?
Yeah.
Okay, I get it. Okay. I love food. Why do I love food? I mean, it's strange because who doesn't love food? Everyone loves food, don't they? I mean, a lot of people don't like cooking.
Yeah.
So everyone loves food, I think, but I love cooking. I mean, I started cooking when I was 12 or 13.
Yeah.
You know, to kind of muck about at home and stuff like that. And,
Yeah.
And then, I mean, I ended up working in restaurants and stuff like that. I've been washing up in restaurants. I've been cooking in restaurants. I've owned a few restaurants. I love it. I mean, I like the fact that you can sort of just have a look in the cupboard or in the fridge and make something.
Yeah.
Like just to let you know, when it comes to cakes and baking, I'm terrible.
Oh yeah.
I'm so bad at it because it's kind of, that's more science. It's just like it has to be that, this temperature, exactly that, and I'm not very good at that.
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't very good at school, so I don't think I like being told what to do really. So it's kind of so. Yeah, if I was to make a cake, I'd go, well, I'm going to put a bit extra of that in, and then it's a disaster because it has to be that. It's chemistry, isn't it? It's kind of like so. So yeah, so I'm really bad at that. Like I am really, really bad at that stuff, but yeah, just I love the fact of just getting stuff and getting it together and sort of like onions, garlic, tin of tomatoes, job done, isn't it? It's like you can make 100 things, you know. And
because some cultures, like the British culture, for instance, when I grew up, we did have meals together most of the time, but nowadays I see that's changed a lot. Whereas in France, eating's a big deal.
Yeah,
you know, they take time. I mean, I've got a place in France, and you know, to get anything done in lunchtime is not possible. You have to just join them and eat and drink wine, because that's what they do every day.
Many cultures still do it, of course, and it's a brilliant thing, isn't it? I mean, it's. I don't want to sound like an old git, but it's a great thing. I mean, what we're doing now is a great thing. We're actually sitting down, eating some food. You know, I mean, I lived in Spain for a while, for about 5 years, down in the south. It's the same there. It's just like, you know, it's like, I mean, going for a breakfast was fantastic, like to a working man's place.
Yeah.
Because it's like, they're eating amazing food, like the painting and decorators are eating amazing food.
Yeah.
With a glass of wine.
Yeah.
You know, and a little brandy or a local kind of liqueur thing. And it's like, it's 7 o'clock in the morning. You know, and then lunch is great, and then closes down for siesta and that. And then the evening, all the kids are up at, you know, midnight. You know, they're up, and it's a great atmosphere. You've got that kind of, and I think it really went really badly wrong for Spain and especially Italy with COVID, because you have that, you have generations in the house. You've got grandmum, kids.
Yeah.
And I think that didn't help the COVID very much. It spread very quickly.
Yeah.
And you know, because of that. But I love food, man. I mean, like you, like I know, and we're going to talk about this a bit later, but I know that you really sort of love that social aspect of, and like I say, I love, because we all eat the same bloody food nearly. It's nearly all the same stuff, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's just like, why'd you eat it like that? Or why'd you put that on it? And I love that. And it's like, oh, you do that because of that. You know, and it's kind of, and it's not just food for me. I don't want to, I'm saying like bloody ponce now, but it's really about people's culture.
Yeah.
And you kind of, it's not just like, oh, they eat that like that, we eat this like this. It's, there's reasons why that happens. And it goes deeper into everything. It goes into their culture. And I really love that.
Do you find music and food are similar? Because like, music's about timing, often, mostly. And I've cooked loads of stuff. I've tried lots of different recipes, just by doing it myself. And I'm learning that the timing of putting something in is so important. Because some spices, they will lose their flavour. You put them in too early. Yeah. Is that right? Do you find that?
It's right. Now, I can just tell you the best lesson ever taught to me. I was really fortunate when I was younger in London. I went to work for a very famous, well, he's not super famous. He was a famous French chef. I worked for him for a year. And he explained to me this. I mean, first of all, he spoke perfect English until the bloody second you walked into the kitchen. And he just would not speak a word of English at all, ever. But he told me once, and I've just always stuck with me, he just says, cooking is controlled burning. Don't burn it. Oh, and I was just like, that's it.
Interesting, yeah.
He just went, it's just controlled burning,
That's
but
right.
don't burn it.
Ah, yeah. Interesting, yeah.
You know, so yeah, it's just experience, isn't it? It's like I'm like we get a lot of people looking at the channel, and I'm always surprised how people they can't cook. I mean, there's a lot of people that can, but there's so many. I get so many questions of like, I'm like, why do you not know that?
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's like if people are quite scared of cooking, and it's a terrible thing because we need to cook at home.
Yeah.
We need to stop eating. This is another angle we could go down. We need to stop eating shit.
Yeah.
And we eat shit, man. They're giving us shit.
Yeah.
Like non-stop processed awful stuff. And we eat loads of it. And it's taken over.
It has.
You know, most people's diets, and
Right.
that for me is like. I mean, I'm on a bit of a mission for that. You know, it's kind of, you know, it's. Like, a lot of people get very preachy. Like, you know, I spend quite a lot of my month sometimes being vegan, just to kind of lose a bit of the old beer gut or whatever and stuff like that. I don't drink alcohol anymore.
Yeah.
Blah 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 blah. But I don't like preachy people.
Yeah.
Vegans are quite good at being preachy.
They can be, yeah.
They can be
Militant.
quite. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and it's but I just think that, which is, I mean, good for them in some ways, but it's just like they don't do very well with me. It's kind of, you know, they soon get an answer from me, but. But we just need to start learning to eat proper food again.
Yeah.
Like fresh food and sort of like grow some tomatoes. The easiest thing to grow in the world. All you got to do is bloody stick them in the ground and they'll just start producing tomatoes
That's
for
it.
you.
Yeah.
And they're not those white kind of, you know, you cut tomatoes now from the supermarket, they're whites inside. You know, and they're tasteless. And
Yeah.
we just need to get back to eating some food, mate.
Yeah.
And like food that we cook, and we're not doing it, and it's really affecting our health.
Have you seen that film, 100-Foot Journey?
No.
Oh, it's a great film about these Indians who arrive in France and they open a restaurant opposite this Michelin-star restaurant.
Okay.
And it's good, you know.
I love it already.
It's brilliant.
Okay.
I mean, it's absolutely brilliant. Helen Mirren's, you know, the French matron of this restaurant. Yeah. Anyway, one of the Indian guys from this family, their business is doing badly. No one wants to eat spicy food in France. It's difficult. He kind of defects and goes and wants to work for her because he's clever. He's a really clever chef.
Yeah.
And what she does, I'm not sure if it's true or not, in real life, she says, make me an omelette. And I think, and that was her meter of his abilities as a chef.
That's common.
Is it?
It's very common. It's kind of like, because you get people sending you in CVs and I've done this and I've done that, and it's like, make an omelette.
Yeah.
It's the first thing you say to them, make an omelette.
Yeah.
Because if you can't make that, you can't do anything.
That's right.
And it's not as easy as people think it is.
Yeah.
So it's, yeah, but that's right, yeah. I'm going to check that movie out. I've never seen
Brilliant
it.
film. Beautiful film.
Are you finished or are you still going?
I'm still going, is that right?
Yeah, you keep going, mate. Keep going. There's no rush.
I'm loving it.
Just as long as you pay at the end, I'm happy. So
Yeah,
just keep the
I paid
bill.
already.
Cash or?
Cash.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Right, we're good.
Yeah.
Right, let's move on. So let's now go. And already, while you're talking, you're saying, "Oh, I was in Singapore, and then I was in Helsinki, and I was in."
Yeah.
So you've been all over the shop, haven't you?
Yeah.
You've been, you know, all four corners. Let's go to another country, which I really want to talk to you about. Which again, a lot of people know a lot about.
Yeah.
Don't really get a chance to go there. The Stan of Afghan. So you went to Afghanistan.
I did, yeah.
And again, did that follow on from the
It did.
kind of British Council thing sort of stuff?
It did. That was my last British Council gig ever because the British Council became a bit more, I don't know, it's less adventurous, and they lost a lot of their good people for various reasons. And so I knew the director. He said, Jason, I want you to come to Afghanistan. And I love what you did in Uzbekistan and other places, and we need something like that here. So we found a window. It was a very last-minute trip because the security was so bad. I mean, it was so unstable, and there were some atrocious things happening, and there was a window of stability, which I'm talking about weeks, 2-3 weeks. So I got a call, go to London and get your visa next week, and then just jump on the plane and come. Everything's set up for you.
So just give me an overview. So when you went, the year you went, the Americans and the British were troops on the ground.
Yeah, yeah.
Taliban,
Yeah.
not happy.
And they were still, they'd been ousted from Kabul, but they were still,
Right.
you know, fighting.
Yeah.
And so there was, you know, suicide bombs was the big. My biggest fear about going to Afghanistan was not being killed myself. It was actually seeing something like a suicide bomber blow himself up. That for me would have been freaky, and I would never got it out of my mind. That was the kind of thing I was most afraid of seeing something happen. And so, again, it was very last minute. We got a visa and got on the plane, British Airways to Dubai. Then we got on the UN flight from Dubai to Kabul. That was the beginning of this adventure. So, take off from Dubai, and these people go back and forth. They come to Dubai for a break, and they go back to Kabul to work. And there was high-ranking military guys and analysts and all sorts of people. It's kind of half-empty plane, but the plane staff were all South African military guys, just in case something happens, right? So they're
Yeah.
armed and they're ready, all tattooed up. You get on the plane, I had my harp guitar, had 3 seats to itself, I've got 3 seats to myself, like cool, nice people on the plane, take off, the guys come and pull your seatbelt really tight. We fly over Iran and we're kind of, it's only a 2.5 hour flight, I think, from Dubai to Kabul. Came to land in Kabul, and the guys and the pilot said, I hope you enjoyed your flight, now please fasten your seatbelt tightly, we're landing in Kabul. There's no information about what was going to happen. So the guys came out and they literally yanked your seatbelt, they pulled it really hard, so it kind of like held you in, right?
Right, okay.
And I was like, hang on, steady on, mate, you know.
Steady on, I've just had a lovely lunch here.
Curry, yeah. And then and I realise now, after conversations in Kabul with people who've been coming and going for years, there's 2 ways of landing in a war zone, and especially in Afghanistan, where there's mountains around the airport.
Yeah.
And the Taliban still have loads of Soviet rocket launchers. And so you've got a plane coming down, a commercial flight coming down, it's an easy target because you can estimate, you know, where they're going to hit.
Okay.
So there's 2 ways of landing. Number 1 is the plane does a spiral, so one wing down and comes down like this.
Okay.
And then levels out. Oh, sorry, just trash the place.
Behave yourself, please.
Sorry, mate, yeah.
So there's a spiral,
Yes.
and the other one's just, you just land, don't you?
You go straight down.
Oh my God.
And we had a straight down one.
Okay.
I tell you what, it took, I mean, I've been flown a lot, and I'm not afraid of flying. Hardly ever. I mean, I've had a few weird flights in rusty old planes in the middle of weird places, but that was still exciting. And it took me about 6 months after this flight to actually feel not scared. I remember a month later I was on a KLM flight to Amsterdam from Finland, and I was holding on to my seat as we landed because this experience. So basically the plane just went like that, and the sound changes. So the airflow is really intense, and it sounds like the movies, you know, when a plane's crashing.
Yeah.
So shaking. And the first thing you do, right, when you have any weird experience on a plane, you look around, right? How are other people reacting? So the stewards are all sitting like this, like, you know, looking out the window, and people are still reading their books. I've done it every week. Shit, I don't like this. And you feel like you're free falling. So I'm holding on for dear life, and it's kind of quite a quick descent. I probably took about, and as opposed to like the 40-minute, 30-minute thing, I think it took like 10 to 12 minutes.
Right, okay.
Most of that was straight down. I mean, I think it was probably like that, not like that.
Yeah.
But enough to think, am I going to die, you know? And then just before we get down to the ground, the plane levels out, and you hit the ground running, basically, and then you just come to a standstill. And the first thing I saw was carcasses of planes that have either been bombed or crashed. And I mean, it's like a graveyard of aircraft. And that was possibly the most scary thing that happened in Kabul, because the security we had was very good. There were a lot of imminent threats, but we were taken care of really, really well. I had an Afghan security team, which were paid by the British Embassy. I had one strange moment with them where the guy, I didn't trust him, but the other guys were amazing. And it was amazing to teach in the university, to bring music to kids that had nothing. You know, they're working there all nights as cab drivers and shoe shiners to actually try and study. And so we drive to the university every day, and all my students, you know, these are like, I'm talking about long-haired hippies, plus very conservative, you know, hijab women, wanting to learn music. And the music department was next to the Islamic Studies department, which is a really bizarre thing. So we come out for our breaks, and there'd be all these guys, the mullahs, you know, with their, you know, long beards and robes not touching the ground, mixing, well, not mixing, but hanging out in the same quarter as the hippies. And that, you could see the future of Afghanistan is going to be complicated when you see these two extreme perspectives of people. And you could see it just there. You've got the people who want to be free and creative and dynamic, and the ones who want to turn the clock the other way, it seems, and do things differently. So it was an amazing experience. I mean, I was exhausted after the whole thing, because, you know, every day you go out and there's you see a lot of military machinery, tanks and rocket launchers, and you know, guys with, it's kind of, it's like the wild east, guys wrapped in bullets, you know, with their turrets and cars. And the drivers we had were really amazing, and they almost had like eyes in the back of their head, and we would be driving, and they would feel a threat, which I didn't see. They'd feel something unusual, and they just go on the pavement and drive on I mean, it's frightening. Driving full speed on the pavement to turn left down an alleyway to go somewhere else, you know. So every morning we had a briefing with the driver about these options of routes that were relatively safe today, but that could be changed by tomorrow.
Right, yeah. Well, you also, I presume, don't want to go the same route every day, do you?
Exactly, that's right. So you can't be seen.
Yeah.
But I was going to university every day, so every day we arrived at a similar time. So that was kind of a difficult one for the British Council, because people see that, you know. So what word gets out, you know, Taliban will pay 20,000, which is not a lot of money in our terms.
So you get a phone call, you know, terrible guitar player arrives
Exactly.
at 9 o'clock every day.
That's right.
Should we do him?
Take him.
Should we do him?
Yeah.
It's like, no, don't bother. He's so awful.
Yeah.
Don't waste the bomb on
Yeah.
him.
But what was weird was that you hear of like post-traumatic stress, right? So I met a lot of people who were living there without protection, who were working for aid agencies who couldn't afford security. They were dressed as Afghans, and some of them were, you know, Asian, Arab-looking, so that they could get away with it. But people were killed on a regular basis. And every day you go out knowing that something could happen. You could see something or something terrible could happen. And it had happened quite recently, a massive bomb at the Indian embassy which killed 140 people just before I arrived. So in the back of your mind, you know that this is dangerous. But at the same time, the adrenaline that you have makes it, not exciting, I won't say that, but helps you get through it. And so I never felt afraid when I was there. I was always a bit sort of like excited, you know. After a month of that, got on the plane to come back to Dubai. I was going to stay for a few days. I felt fine. I was really relaxed. I was like so satisfied with what I'd done there. You know, the music I'd learned and played with these old guys and helped these kids play guitar better, you know. And it's amazing. Fulfillment, amazing. Got on the plane, did the old taking off like that. That was fine. And landed in Dubai. I was really calm. Got my suitcase from the Emirates thing, walked out at the airport, and I had a panic attack. It's so bizarre. I suddenly realised that for the last month I've been looking everywhere for someone with a gun or someone who...
Yeah, just danger.
Danger, yeah. And it took me 5 days to get back to something close to normal, about 10 days in all. But that first cab ride, I must speak a bit of Hindi and Urdu, right? I was talking to the guy. I was so suspicious, and is he going to kill me? I mean, I was paranoid, slightly. It wasn't like psychotic. Yeah. But in the back of my mind, where's my security guy? I don't feel safe, you know. So I was in there for a month. Imagine with security. Imagine those guys who are there for years or months and years without that.
Well, just imagine if you come from there.
Oh, you come from there, of course.
Right, finish your food.
Done it.
And then we're going to take a break. I'm going to make a cup of tea.
All right.
Earl Grey tea with milk, is that all right?
Please. Thank you very much.
Marvellous, darling.
Cheers.
So you've had some food?
Amazing. Loved it.
You got a cup of tea?
Best cup of tea ever.
Can you go now?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I've got a few more questions.
Oh, okay.
I just want to point out my cup.
Ooh.
It's my unicorn cup that my daughter insists that I drink from.
That would make a lovely T-shirt.
It would, wouldn't it? Don't tell her that.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Right. So, we're all about food here. We've not spoke about food very much.
I know.
Afghanistan. How's the food?
First couple of days challenging because I was fed Western food badly cooked by Afghans. And I went to the kitchen one day and saw these guys making this gorgeous, you know, sort of, I say fried rice. It's the rice they bake rice, like in Iran, with this gorgeous, you know, curry-like sauces. And I was like, can I have that? And they said, you sure? I said, yeah. So then I had that every day, and it was amazing. I mean, I've played a lot with Iranian musicians, and always got fed gorgeous Iranian food. It's so beautiful. And it's very similar, Afghan-Iranian food, very similar. So I think the most challenging one in terms of food was in North Korea because there's a real shortage of food. And, I mean, we eat a lot in the West. You know, we eat generally when we want, what we want. And it's we often fill ourselves with crap. You know, we eat a lot of stodgy stuff. We get fat and our stomachs are expanded. I get to North Korea and the portions are tiny. A lack of meat and noodles and eggs, basically. So after 3 or 4 days, I felt hungry at night. And I'm kind of a person, if I'm not eating properly in the daytime, I can't sleep properly. I need food. But after a couple more days, I've realised it was all right, and I didn't think about it anymore. And my stomach adjusted, and it was all right. So I can't really say that North Korea was a culinary delightful experience. Afghanistan was. It was like, you know, home-cooked Afghan food every day. Because of the security situation, you couldn't go outside and get takeaways. You weren't allowed out at all.
Okay.
And that was a pain because you drive past all these amazing bread shops and, you know, bakeries, but you just can't get out of the car. So that was a bummer.
It's probably a good idea not to get out of the car.
Probably a good idea, yeah. Very good idea.
So, tell me, you've travelled everywhere by the sounds of it. Which city or country is the best for food?
Singapore.
Ah, that's interesting you say that.
Yeah. Every day was a dilemma. I was there for almost a year, and every day was a dilemma because there was so much good food to eat. for very little money. $5 is your basic price. You go to these called hawker centres, and it's everyone cooking their own thing, and you just go and buy it, and it's absolutely amazing. Chili stingray, chili crab, and it was kind of, I love food, right? And I love the experience of going to buy food in Singapore.
Yeah.
You go to these hawker centres and it's like smoke and chaos and conversation. And you find yourself sitting with strangers and they're really friendly and you know.
Now, I've been to Singapore a couple of times, and I think, tell me if this is the same sort of thing. So it's like a kind of, it's like a shopping mall, or you know, or just a tin roof sort of thing, but big, and just hundreds and hundreds of stores.
Yes.
And then just loads of benches in the middle.
Exactly.
They're the places that
That's
you're talking about.
Yeah, yeah.
Amazing, isn't it?
I loved it. You know, I think in Singapore, so if you've got your $5, you can buy pretty much whatever you like. And then you've got other layers of restaurants. So Singapore can be expensive. I got to experience fine Japanese food. I got to love Japanese food because of that. Because you didn't find much Japanese stuff in the hawker centres. That was more like fast-cooked, you know, local Asian food. Got to experience Japanese food, Japanese beer. I mean, wow, it's just opened my eyes to food. And also, the family that I work for, they had a palace. And so they had 3 chefs there every day. And so I'd go to give his guitar lessons every day to this kid. I'd go early and I'd hang out in the kitchen and I'd sit there and watch them cook.
Right.
So I basically learned how to cook Thai food. There's one Thai chef, and I love Thai food. So I just asked him loads of questions and got, it's all about timing. So I see how he timed making a green curry.
Yeah.
And I love it. So I make it at home a lot now. You know, you can find the ingredients generally anywhere. If you're lucky, the best ingredients, but you know. But Singapore, without a doubt, I mean, I wake up in the morning, what's for breakfast, you know? But saying that, one bizarre experience in Singapore, I was taken out by some Filipinos to a Filipino restaurant.
Okay.
And I was presented with, what's it called? This egg with a chick inside of it.
Balut.
Balut.
Yeah.
And it's the only thing in my whole life that I was presented with that I couldn't eat. I couldn't do it. I couldn't, you know, pick it up and put it in my mouth. I've eaten everything else that's been put in front of me. Everything.
Now, I've had a couple of experiences with that.
Yeah.
Well, 1.5, because I'd learnt by the first one. But you've met June, who works on the channel with me. He does all the Filipino food, and he's presented to me that before. And it's just like, so for people that don't know what that is, it's basically about to hatch chicken, isn't it? Or duck, or whatever it is. I think it's actually duck, I think.
I think it's duck,
yeah. But, or whatever. But it's kind of, so you open the egg and you can see
the embryo,
which is pretty much formed, isn't it? There's beak in it and everything like that. And it's like, you put a bit of salt on it and eat it, and it's like, no thank you.
That's the only thing I couldn't do. Couldn't do it. The juice, amazing.
I see, I couldn't even do that.
Okay.
Yeah, the juice. What do you mean the juice?
The
embryo juice.
Yeah.
The embryo juice. No thanks. No, I don't want it.
I did that. No.
Okay.
Tasty.
But you didn't get involved with the...
Not at all. I couldn't do it. You know, in Asia, I was on tour of Vietnam a couple of years ago. And, you know, again, you're a guest. They take you to the most interesting places and you get food presented to you, which is fully formed, you know, fully formed pigeons or fully formed devilfish with teeth. And I love that experience. It's fascinating. You know, it's sometimes challenging to... I think the weirdest one was baby pigs. So presented with these little piglets that were
suckling pigs sort of thing,
tasty as anything, you know. Delicious, but weird, you know.
Weird. I mean, I saw that and I couldn't eat it in. That was in Bangkok. It was actually in Chinatown in Bangkok where there was little pigs like that, and it's like they look amazing, to be honest. It's like all crispy and all that. But it's just like, I don't know. I don't know if I want to eat that little baby. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of, you know,
but we kind of become desensitized to it because, you know, we go to the shops wherever we live and we buy packaged chicken, we buy packaged food in cellophane, and we have no relationship to what it was and what it is. Yeah. And I think sometimes it's healthy to have that.
It is. No, it is, but we really don't have it.
We don't have it at all.
You know, I mean, I've thought about this before, and I may have even mentioned it to you before, but it's like, I could kill a fish. I could do that bit. Yeah. I could kill a chicken.
Have you done it?
I haven't, but I think I could. Yeah. And it's like...
You mean like...
Yeah. I mean, I think I could do it. Yeah. And then it's like, okay, now let's move up a bit. Let's like, a pig. Like, how do you do it? How do you get around doing it? And then you go, cow.
Oh, camel.
I mean, well, like a cow would take me and you and 4 of our mates a week to do, wouldn't it? Like, how do you do it even?
I don't know. I know.
You know, so it's kind of, so we kind of...
There's a distance.
I would definitely be way more vegetarian and vegan if I had to kill everything myself. That's for sure. I mean, and even when I say I could kill a fish, I don't fish. Do you know what I mean? I'm not like one of these big bloody tuna things coming out, 6-foot tuna sort of thing. It's like, what I think is I don't want to eat meat that much.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's kind of like, well, you got any zucchini? I'll have that today. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? I can't get my head around.
Yeah.
You know, a cow's the same size as a car. Yeah. It's like a car, isn't it? And it's like I just don't know what to do about that. I'd just be more and more vegetarian, for sure.
I've got a friend in the UK, a magician friend, who has gone on this path of they live in the countryside, and they've taken out their kids, their sons, hunting.
Right.
So once a month they join this club and they go out shooting pheasant, rabbits, small game, you know. Yeah. And he said he's found it to be really helpful with his kids and himself. And they eat what they catch. So they're taught how to prepare it. They're taught how to, hang up the pheasant for so many days and all that. And he said it's been a brilliant experience. First of all, you're eating really fresh meat, which is not processed at all. It's like organic. And that taste, first of all, is amazing. And secondly, you develop a relationship in understanding how life works and how the food chain works.
I get that, and I like that. My wife, Rahel, is from Ethiopia. Yeah. And she still gets a bit freaked out about chickens in supermarkets. She's a bit like, where do they come from? Like, how long has it been dead? Yeah. Because you know, I've been to Addis Ababa, the capital, lots and lots of times, and it's if you want a chicken, it's alive. You go and buy a chicken and you kill it, and it's.
So she kills it.
Yeah, I mean it's like, and it's kind of freaky for us, but it makes complete sense. Yeah. I mean the other thing about I've noticed about Ethiopia is you could not for a second sell them organic food. They'll just look at you like, what do you mean?
What do you mean?
Like, what on earth do you mean? Like, what, you want to charge me loads more money for this? Because everything they have is organic pretty much, you know what I mean? And it's
fresh.
And so the distance that we have now between where our food comes from is enormous. Enormous, it's...
But when you buy... I've got friends who've got a farm in Ireland, and I've been there a few times to visit and stayed there. And when you have... the chicken that you eat that's been killed the same day. Yeah. I remember as a child, we used to go and buy a fresh rabbit, for instance. It was a normal thing. You buy a rabbit and you cook it and eat it. And I remember the food tasted different when I was younger. And when I went to eat at their farm recently, the last time was probably about 4 years ago, had this roast chicken, Sunday lunch, amazing, absolutely gorgeous. And it brought back memories of that taste from when I was a kid. Because food was always like that as a kid. Yeah. And we were like a working class family. We couldn't afford to buy expensive stuff, but it was normal to buy fresh chicken that we killed that day or day before, And now you make a chicken curry, you taste the difference.
I mean, I think if you can Google it, if you sort of go, what does a chicken look like in 1920, and what does one look like now? The one in 1920 looked like a pigeon, and it now looks like Arnold Schwarzenegger. That's right. And you can see I've seen it like a graph of like we've just sort of and we're pumping them with just ridiculous stuff and I think if people looked into the food industry and how our food is made, we'd have a load more vegetarians.
I think so.
We'd have a load more vegetarians, without a doubt. And it's kind of. But
are you an animal lover? Do you like?
I don't really know what that means. What do you mean by that question? An animal lover.
Have you ever had pets that you've been attached to?
I love dogs.
Okay.
I love dogs. I hate cats. Very, very simply, is that cats are sneaky, unfaithful, horrible gits, and I just don't like them at all. Yeah. Dogs, I love dogs. Yeah. I would really love one day to get like 2 or 3 dogs, and I don't like these little ones. I like kind of decent,
proper
sized dogs, and they're just brilliant to be around.
Yeah. Could you? So just say you're on a farm and you had sheep and other stuff, like a small farm. After tending to your animals, could you kill them and eat them?
No, because I could do it, but I was.
Or have them killed and eat them.
Yeah, it's that kind of, it's like you'd have to kind of not have a relationship with them. You can't start naming them, can you? Do you know what I mean? It's kind of like so it's you'd have to sort of do some sort of mental block, I suppose, of kind of like this is the stock. Yeah. You can't be saying like hello Julie, how are you this morning, and pat her on the head and then get some mint sauce out. Do you know what I mean? It's like, so, I don't know, but it's a strange question because it's just not how we live anymore, is it?
I know. Yeah.
Like that's kind of like a medieval setup in a way. Do you know what I mean, for most people? 'Cause
In a way, yeah. I mean, my grandmother, she used to tell us stories of, because she grew up on a farm. So we're talking, I mean, she was 93 when she died. She died a few years ago. So, 80 years ago, when she was a teenager, she was killing chickens every day, and eating was normal,
Well, I mean, by the way, this is very normal for millions and millions, billions of people.
Right.
It's just us kind of
Westerners.
pussycats,
Yeah.
who kind of, like, oh,
Yeah.
what I mean? We've got a bit like that, haven't we?
I know.
And so I like the fact that you said about your friend, and he's sort of taking his kids out to do that.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's it. I'm not kind of like against animals being killed for us to eat. I'm not like kind of right on in that way.
Yeah.
But I think the way we're killing them now ain't good.
No.
I think it's a miserable life they have,
Yeah.
and it's crap. And but I don't think that will put a lot of people off. I think the conscious thing won't put people off stop eating meat.
No.
But if they saw how
Yeah.
it happened,
Yeah.
then I reckon like a good 30% of the world would just go, I'm never going to eat that again.
Yeah.
Unless it comes from
Yeah.
so and so's little farm down the road, sort of thing.
When I lived in Finland, we had our neighbours were pretty far away, but I'd often walk after I'd been on tour, to come to the sauna, come home, and I'd walk to the farm and help out with the milking the cows, just for something, a different zone, Lovely people, and they were amazing. And she's a cow expert, of course, and she's a cow farmer, and their cows were hand reared, and sold for meat.
Yeah.
But she said, you can taste the difference between a cow that's been cared for and killed in this way, or a cow that's lived a stressful life and killed in a stressful way.
Yeah.
And absolutely, you can tell the difference when you eat it.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Funny enough, I actually milked my first cow last year in Sri Lanka.
Did you?
Yeah, it was a brilliant. Well, it was really odd again because I'm such a sort of London city boy. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of, and so the guy sort of said where I was staying, they had a cow, and then they used to go and get the milk every morning and stuff. And it was like, and they tied its legs together.
Yeah.
Just like a bit of a rope thing. I think it's just to stop it kicking or something. But and it had a calf. And they came in and they sort of, I think they put something on, like some oil or something on the udders.
Yeah.
And he was going, doing it, brilliant, Yeah. And he sort of said, do I want to go? And I was like, yeah, I'll have a go. And then I was like, do I want to go? And then it was just really weird doing it.
Yeah.
And I was rubbish at it.
Yeah.
It was kind of like, oh, no.
Yeah.
And he was only do it like this. And I got the hang of it in the end.
Yeah.
And they took like, a jug of milk.
Yeah.
And then the calf come along. They got the calf, the baby, and she come along and she had her go. She had her fill.
Yeah.
And I kind of thought, oh, that's all right.
Yeah.
It's just we're just not nature, are we?
No,
anymore?
we're not.
Like, we're just not nature.
So removed.
We've gone. We're just kind of we've gone. It's like sort of you're sort of saying to kids like about chicken nuggets. Like they don't really know it's got chicken in it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
what do you mean it's got chicken in it? Or like where does milk come from?
Yeah.
A carton.
Yeah.
It's like no,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
but so I think we need. I mean, like I was saying earlier on about us cooking, we don't bloody cook. We don't cook. I mean, I've got a terrible things when I go shopping.
Yeah.
When I go shopping, I look in your trolley.
Oh yeah.
I look in people's trolley.
Yeah.
And I judge you. And I judge you.
Actually, I think I do that as well.
I'm like, because you look at people's trolleys and it's like,
God.
you have no fruit or vegetables in there.
Yeah.
You've just got packets of everything.
Yeah.
And it's kind of, and I judge people. I'm like, I'm better than you, and I'm not, of course, but it's kind of like, but there's not a lot of fruit and veg in there.
Yeah.
Like there's not a lot of fresh produce going on in there. There's a lot of, there's a lot of boxes of stuff.
Yeah.
And that can't be good, man.
I know.
I mean, look, I'll eat a frozen bird's eye pizza if I have to. I don't mind.
Yeah.
But it's when you live on that.
Ooh, yeah.
Like when that is, like when eating fresh vegetables is a rarity to you.
Yeah.
There's something wrong with your body.
There is, yeah.
And we live like it. It's just how we've become now, and it's a shame, and it's killing us.
Yeah.
I mean, just obesity through the roof. It's just shocking.
Diabetes.
The amount of diabetes is incredible. It's just gone up, and it's going up and up and up. And I'm sounding like a doctor now, aren't I?
You asked me about my favourite place of food, and I say Singapore is for sure.
Yeah.
When you're eating out and it's an amazing choice of fresh, gorgeously cooked food. But I got a place in France, and what I love about France
Well,
is
where in France?
it's a little village near Montpellier in the south.
Okay.
So it's called Sauve, and it's between Montpellier and Nîmes in a sort of triangle. And what I love about that village, and as in most French villages, that you can go out every day and buy your food for the day, and it's fresh. So you go to the butcher and you buy your pork chops or your sausages, which are local. And then you go to the fruit and veg shop and you buy your local garlic, your local stuff. And so, and the French are, you know, it's still very much a tradition in French culture to eat good food. And I love it, I love it. I mean, it's not always cheap, but you're getting the best of the local food and wine, of course. So I love that. I go every morning, I go and buy my fresh baguette, and I'll think about lunch. So what do I want for lunch? I'll go there and buy that, and go there and buy that. So my fridge is never really stocked up with masses of stuff that will keep forever. It's stocked up with stuff which will last a couple of days, and you have to eat it, you know. But you end up eating really good food, and you enjoy it, you know.
And
taste.
And talking of French food, I have a theory on it.
Go on.
Okay. It's very difficult to make French food, and it's because it's all about the ingredients.
Yeah.
And it's do you know what I mean? They're a little bit like, you can't make this unless you get these mushrooms from that area.
That's right.
Between April the 28th and so and so. And it's kind of, so it becomes impossible for you, if you don't live in France, to make French food, I suppose. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, but I mean, they're very, 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 very much into it.
They are.
Cheese.
Ah.
Cheese.
Yeah. So the French and the English got this sort of, you know, conversation or argument about who's got the best cheese. And the UK has amazing cheese.
Yes.
You get some gorgeous, you know, vintage cheddar that just sort of melts in your mouth. But France, of course, is a cheese heaven.
Yeah.
And I think my favourite cheese that I've learned to love is Comté. I don't know if you've ever heard of Comté.
I don't know that.
Oh, it's so... And you're looking for a 10 to 15-year-old cheese, which is... You go to your local butcher or your local store, and they'll generally have it. And you get the less than 10-year-old, it's cheaper, it's still good. But the more than 10-year-old, again, this melt in your mouth, gorgeousness, you know.
Is it stinky?
No.
It's not that stinky?
No, it's not that stinky. I think it's one of the closest things to cheddar, but it tastes nothing like cheddar. But in terms of texture, and again, we talk about, you know, when you put something in your mouth, your brain understands what it is, what to expect. I think Comté has that kind of cheddary thing, but it tastes nothing like it. But a lot of Brits that I see in France like Comté because there's something similar about it. I mean, I've had some stinky old cheese in France, and some of it I love.
You like stinky cheese?
Some of it.
Yeah.
Some of it, yeah. But fresh goat's cheese, you ever had that?
Yes.
Oh, it's absolutely delicious. Again, you're looking for the one where the knife just falls through it, you know, and just it sort of melts onto the bread. And
have you...
Oysters.
I can't do oysters. I can't do that.
Love it.
I can't do oysters the same way I can't do a snotty egg. It's the same thing, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just can't do that.
Yeah.
So you like oysters?
I love oysters. Oh my gosh. So there's a city in France called Sète on the coast near Montpellier, which is, I mean, all seaside coastal towns do great oysters.
Right.
But this Sète is renowned for these oysters, and there's a couple of restaurants, and they're not expensive. And you can have, if you want, a 3-course meal all with oysters. Oysters for starter.
Oysters and chips?
If you want chips.
Oysters and ice cream?
Yeah, but with slightly different, you know, flavours and stuff, you know? Or moules frites, mussels and shit. Oh, I just love it.
See, I can do the mussels thing. I don't mind doing that, but the oyster, No, I can't do it. I've tried a couple of times, and it's just like...
It's a weird thing.
I can't do it.
Because it's alive. You know,
yeah, it's alive and it's...
I know. But moules frites, the best moules frites I've ever had in France is with lardon, little bits of pork, smoked, smoky pork, you know, in a white. Now, what's the sauce? It's like a white. It's not marinara. Marinara is white wine and onions. So, white cream, probably cream cheese. I think it is melted with lardon and onions. Man.
Now, the first time I've actually been to Montpellier.
Have you?
I've been there, yeah. And I remember it was some years ago. I think we got the TGV. Is it the TGV? The train down.
Yeah.
And the first night I went there, I mean, this was in the early 80s maybe or something.
Yeah.
It's the first time I've ever had raclette.
Oh, yeah.
It's the first, I'd never seen it before, you know, like, so it's the kind of, the little hot plate with the little things, with loads of different cheeses and...
Yeah, a bit of ham on it, potatoes.
Yeah, and that's the first time I had that, and I was super impressed.
Love it.
I was just like, this is it.
Good winter food. Yeah.
It's just good food, I'd have it any time, but it was kind of... And I think, do you have it with potatoes? Like,
You can, yeah. The basic raclette is, you got your cheese thing where you melt your cheese, and then you've got your boiled potatoes,
Yeah.
and sometimes you have like a slices of pork or ham.
It was amazing.
Fantastic. Farmer's food. Brilliant.
I remember thinking like I was international.
Yeah.
I was like, this is it. I'm international here.
Yeah.
This is it.
Yeah.
And it was fantastic. And then
Yeah.
I then came... Because I think before that, the only thing you ever heard about was the
fondue. Yeah.
And that was kind of 70s. That's when you had your orange flares on.
Yeah.
And then that became so passé you wouldn't even mention it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
It was kind of like a soda stream.
Yeah.
Like, soda stream, great, put it away.
Yeah.
Do you know? And
Yeah.
so yeah, fondue was really kind of
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
and then not it.
Yeah.
And then when I had that, I was like, this is like the new fondue.
Yeah.
You know, and,
Yeah.
and I love that. And what I love about it was sitting around a table. My
Yeah.
French is non-existent.
Yeah.
I was with one French guy who spoke English, the guy that I went with, and whatever, 6 or 7 other French people. Couldn't say a word. I mean, like, how embarrassing, you know.
Yeah.
But it's very social. It's a
Very.
bit like, give us a bit of that cheese and some a bit of that. Do you want
know.
some of this? And
Yeah.
it's just a wonderful way to eat.
It is, yeah. And you know, the UK, there's a bunch of staple food that we have. Fish and chips is one. But then I go to Belgium and have these Belgian frites or frietje.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, gorgeous, you know? With this very sweet, salty mayonnaise.
Yes.
Absolutely stunning, you know.
But I don't want anyone to knock English food. We get knocked a lot.
Yeah,
And
true.
because we do have amazing food. We
do.
don't eat it anymore. But, you know, it's kind of like, have you ever had fish and chips not in the UK? It's bloody awful.
Yeah, terrible. Yeah.
It's bloody awful. Like, they just can't do it.
Yeah.
You know, so there's a certain way that we do it in the UK.
Yeah.
But we do, and everyone just goes, oh, roast beef, blah, blah, blah. But
Yeah.
we've also got horseradish, wonderful. The hottest mustard in the world, the English mustard, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
And then you mentioned it earlier on, we've got rabbit, pheasant.
Yeah.
You know, we've got loads of pies and like pork pies, man. Like,
I love
if you
them.
get them right,
I know. With mushy peas.
you know, and we've got, we've got loads of seaweed, stuff like that, that we used to eat.
Yeah, really?
Yeah, we used to eat loads of it all the time. We just don't eat it anymore. We're surrounded by it. Like even, did you know that when you go to southern France and Spain and you eat those lovely long prawns?
Yeah.
They're from Scotland.
Oh, really?
That's where they
Yeah.
come from. But we don't eat them.
Funny way.
We bloody export them down there.
Yeah.
And it's like there's just so much lovely fish that we used. I don't know if we still have, but
Yeah.
I mean, we're pretty depleted. But
Yeah.
but we've got incredible. When I say English food, I mean British food. I mean
Yeah.
Scotland's got amazing food. Wales, Ireland. We've just got amazing food.
Yeah.
Just don't eat it anymore,
That's
man.
true.
We just do not eat it at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
We eat beans on toast and we eat Doritos.
Yeah, that's right.
That's kind of what we eat now.
I know. Unless you go to someone's house where they still do that stuff.
Yeah.
Like a gorgeous roast beef lunch or
Yeah.
dinner with wonderfully cooked roast potatoes.
Yeah.
You can't beat it. It's just
Doesn't
amazing.
happen anymore, man.
I know.
It's a rare thing. I mean, I hope people listening, please get out there and start cooking. But we do have lots of lovely food, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's just such a shame that we... Like, if you get sort of like lamb from like down south from Romney Marsh. See,
Yeah.
they eat the grass from Romney Marsh.
Oh, yeah?
It's very salty and it gives the lamb an incredible flavour.
Nice.
And there's just loads of things like that we have, but it's just people just go roast beef, fish and chips, get the hell out of here, your food stinks.
Yeah.
That's kind of what people think about us.
What about haggis? You've tried that?
I have tried haggis once, and I thought it was all right. It didn't. I wasn't like and I wasn't like wow.
Yeah.
So it was all right.
Yeah.
It was fine.
Yeah.
I didn't mind it at all. It was good. But look, man, we've chatted for a long time.
Brilliant. Been
And
great.
it's great for you to come over, and you're welcome back
Thank you very much.
anytime.
Thanks for having
and
me.
what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave some links of your stuff
Okay.
below because you've made some. I mean, you made some. I'll tell you what you've done. You've done a rendition of Amazing Grace.
Yeah.
Which I love.
Oh, cool.
Like, I really love that.
Oh, nice.
So I'm going to stick the link for that down. And what was the? You made a video last year, a beautiful track, and the video is fantastic. It's kind of like playing cards
Yeah.
on the table. And
Yeah.
What's that video called?
Metanoia.
Metanoia. I'm going to leave that link, and I'll leave the link to all your stuff. But
Brilliant.
that's a brilliant.
Thanks, mate.
I don't know who made that video, but it's great.
I made it with a friend of mine, Jody.
Jody
Peck.
Never heard of him. Hi, Jody.
Hi, Jody. He's over there somewhere.
Jody's actually filming today, so. But I love that video, man. I love the song, and Amazing Grace is incredible. And I want to talk to you about one before we go. One more thing.
Yeah.
I want to talk to you about a guitar, harp guitar.
Yeah.
What the bloody hell is that?
Harp guitar was invented in the Baroque period. See, the Baroque period was a really bizarre time of immense creativity amongst instrument makers. So they made all these weird stuff like violins with trombone, trumpet, bellows. And the harp guitar was made, but no one wrote music for it. And in those days, composers needed to take it and compose music for it. And it died away. It ended up as an instrument in pubs and Schlager bars, right? Which it stayed in for a while. It disappeared until the late 1800s when two Danish brothers in New York made a factory and just manufactured them for some bizarre reason. It became the guitar of America.
Okay.
It was the guitar of America for about 20 to 30 years. World War I hit, production stopped, disappeared. And then there's an amazing American guitarist called Michael Hedges who had a really amazing approach into different tunings and different ways of playing. He found a harp guitar in his grandfather's attic, thought, what's that? Strung it up and played it. And he was a great musician. And so because of him, the door was open again to people to make them and to play them. So I, like many others, came to the harp guitar through Michael Hedges. And so I saw his video and thought, that's amazing. I remember it was probably the third time in my life where I watched an instrument being played and the hairs at the back of my neck stood up and thought, what is that? And so I went on the search for one. I found a second-hand one, took it and made an album with that and some videos. But I'm a classical guitarist. It's a steel string guitar. So it was difficult. It was more, I lost a lot of technique because of that guitar. I mean, in terms
Can you just describe it to someone that doesn't know what it is? It's a guitar.
Yeah.
With another neck.
Well, it's kind of, it's all one body, but it's got this thing growing out the side with a sound hole in it to help the bass strings resonate. And the bass strings are open strings. You don't fret them. So they're more resonators, so you play them as open strings as well as playing the guitar at the same time. So a basic model will have 6 guitar strings and 6 bass strings. But then from there onwards, people make all kinds of versions of that. So you can get 7 bass strings, 10 bass strings, 7 guitar strings, also little treble strings that go beyond the guitar. So I had one which had 18 strings before, so 6 bass strings, 6 guitar strings, and 6, they're called super trebles in America. So you get more of a range, but what I love about it is the instrument sustains a lot longer than you would have on a normal Spanish guitar.
Okay.
So it opens a lot of possibilities for a more ethereal approach to music, which is really nice, you know.
No, I saw a couple of videos of you playing it.
Yeah.
And I actually saw them today before you come in. I thought, I better do a bit of bloody research on him.
Okay.
So, and I saw you bowing at one point. You're actually using a bow on it.
Yeah.
As well as, I saw you just playing it before, like as a bass, but
yeah,
you can bow it as well, obviously.
Well, you can. I mean, I saw that there was an opening where the string was exposed from the body. I thought I'll get a bow in there. So I got a cello bow for 50 quid and I bowed it. And it acts as a drone. So you can do tapping with one hand and then bowing with the other. To set up a musical scene in terms of starting a piece, it's a nice atmospheric thing to do. Or for looping. So you could lay down a drone with that and loop it and then play on from there. It's
an incredible instrument, man.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful, yeah. It really is beautiful.
You're beautiful. Thanks a lot, mate.
Cheers, mate.
See you soon. Eat well. Keep eating well.
You too.
See you later, man. Nice one.
Bye.